So there's something which I would consider to be a major announcement when it comes to Onyx, and what is that? They finally announced the date in which they're going to be launching the mainnet of their layer 1 blockchain called Goliath, and it's supposedly going to be happening on the 27th of March. Now, nothing I say is financial advice, but why is this a major thing in my opinion, despite XCN not doing the best in terms of the charts? Well, it's because in terms of a fundamental standpoint of view, I think this right here is actually very major. I think it's very impressive actually, because if let's say we don't take a look at this, what really beyond this, or should I say other than this, has Onyx been able to achieve and it being so fantastic like this? I can't really point to a situation like that. I think this right here, again, would be the biggest thing that it probably has ever accomplished, again, if it could actually do it on the 27th of March, in the history of its existence. I really do believe that. Because, again, it's not like Onyx has achieved so many things fundamentally. So I think this right here could be a step in the right direction. And sure, people like to allude to how, Stellar, right? Like the Stellar blockchain, they say it's way better. Some people arguably say that. They say it's more popular. And I get it, it is way more popular. And sure, if we take a look at blockchains that are focused on global trade and finance, which arguably Goliath is, people like to say it's nothing special, it's nothing new. I'm totally aware of that. But at the same time, at least it's a fundamentally amazing accomplishment, I think, for the case of Onyx, right? Because Onyx, keep in mind, is a top 5 project as of right now within the space of global trade and finance. So it would only make sense that it has a layer 1 blockchain much like Goliath, right? I mean, I think if they could actually again launch their layer 1 blockchain in terms of the mainnet, that right there would make it, compete better with some of its other competitors, like for instance, XDC, Stellar, to a certain extent, something like Zebic. Also, I take a look at something like Ripple. Again, launching the mainnet of their layer 1 blockchain, it just kind of elevates their prestige, right? It kind of elevates their sort of, I guess, presence within that space. Even though it's already top 5 within the global trade and finance space as of right now, the launch of the mainnet of Goliath, which again is their layer 1 blockchain that's focused on global trade and finance, that right there, I think would really allow it to kind of cement its positioning within that. In which case, if it could actually maintain that heading into a hypothetical altcoin season, I'm not going to complain. But if let's say it just goes back to $1 billion in market cap, in which we once actually saw a little bit over a year ago, we're already 5 times approximately lower than that. So it doesn't even really need a hypothetical altcoin season. And keep in mind, back when XCN reached around $1 billion in terms of market cap back in 2025, there was no mainnet of Goliath, right? It literally was not a hypothetical thing. That's the way you take a look at it. And it was still able to do that back then. So just imagine this. Even with the announcement of their proposed date of the launch of their mainnet for their layer 1 blockchain called Goliath, XCN was doing way better back then. So the charts, in my opinion, aren't being affected because of the bad fundamentals of Onyx. I think it's more so affected because of the sentiment of the space overall, which I don't think is a bad thing for me for dollar cost averaging, because I feel like the project became better, yet it's actually now lower in terms of the charts. So hypothetically, I can dollar cost average more into a project that I like, but then actually it's better than before, but then before it was way more expensive. Am I going to complain? The answer is no. Now, I'm not telling anyone to do anything, because in a different scenario, if I try to buy a bicycle and it had a discount, but there was more features than compared to when it didn't have a discount, would I complain? No, because the bike had more features, yet there was a discount. So I'm not going to complain. But this is just my mindset. So when I take a look at Onyx right there, I mean, sure, maybe their layer 1 blockchain called Goliath may probably not see mass adoption. Who knows? We'll wait and see, but I'm just saying. It may not see that, but even if it doesn't, it's not a concern for me either, because even without that, we already saw Onyx, in terms of its positioning, still even as of right now being top 5 within the global trade and finance space, within this space, right? So I think something like that just adds another layer to something like Onyx, in which case makes it, I think, more cemented within that positioning. So why not? That's the way you take a look at it. It's like, for instance, let's say I want to sell a house. Is me making the garden a little bit better really going to affect it so much in terms of the house fundamentally? Probably not. But in terms of potential buyers for that home, maybe a better garden could affect it, right? It could affect their perception for the home. That's the way you take a look at it. It's like cleaning a car before we sell it. Why not, right? I mean, sure, I mean, if someone wants to buy the car anyways, it being a little bit dirty, it's probably not going to be such a major concern. But if it's a little bit cleaner and it's a bit of an easier sale, why not? I feel like when it comes to something like Goliath, it's kind of like cleaning the car or fixing up the garden a little bit before selling the home. It may not change it forever fundamentally, but at least it kind of helps, in my opinion, maybe. But we'll wait and see. So when I take a look at Onyx, I think this right here is very impressive, and they're actually sticking by their kind of date, I guess, more or less, right? Because we knew that it was kind of planned for, early 2026, and we're kind of seeing it. I mean, it's proposed for March 27th, right? So, yeah, I mean, I guess they're kind of sticking by that timeline. So I do like seeing that. I mean, okay, sure. When it comes to Stellar, it may have better adoption probably for the next couple of years than something like this. And maybe, who knows, for the next even 10, 50, 20 years. Again, only time will tell. However, it never needs to overtake Stellar in my opinion. Like for instance, XCN is so low to the point that, again, it's around 5 times lower than where it was just slightly over a year ago in terms of market cap. The thing is, did XCN defeat Stellar back then? No. So it doesn't need to overtake Stellar or anything like that to do anything so hypothetically, I guess, prominent, right? It doesn't need to kind of overtake something like that to do something percentage-wise because it's already kind of starting off pretty low as of right now anyways. So just going back to its original point, which we saw even without a hypothetical altcoin season, it seems already kind of impressive because we're just so low, in my opinion. Now, could things go lower? Maybe, but at least, even as of right now, we're over 5 times lower, approximately, than where we were slightly over a year ago when it comes to XCN. Had XCN only had a pullback to like 500 million or like 600 million or 700 million or something like that, right? Maybe at that point, the journey back to a billion, it's not really that impressive because imagine the market cap is only like 600 million, goes back to a billion. It's like, okay, whatever, right? But actually, as of right now, because XCN has had such a major pullback, I feel like it doesn't even need a hypothetical altcoin season. If only, let's say, altcoins just went back to the sentiment that was kind of, had, right? Back in early 2025, if it just goes back to that point, XCN goes back to a billion, let's say, in a make-believe scenario, again, right, we're around 5 times lower than that as of right now. Bitcoin is not around 5 times lower than even its all-time high. So, that's just the way you take a look at it. And even a billion in market cap is not the all-time high when it comes to XCN, by the way. We've seen XCN reach a market cap even higher than that. For instance, we've seen, XCN historically, right? Back in 2022, the market cap was what, almost 3 billion? So, even a billion market cap is not like its all-time high market cap, at least from what I can see. But again, just returning to that, we're over 5 times lower, basically, around 5 times, I should say. So it's not like such a massive undertaking, in my opinion. We literally just saw it over a year ago, right? So, I mean, it just doesn't seem so outlandish to me, especially now. If, let's say, the launch of their mainnet does happen for Goliath in terms of their layer 1 blockchain, right? If, let's say, it does that, and let's say afterwards, maybe, who knows, the sentiment starts changing when it comes to altcoins. Would a billion in market cap be so ridiculous, considering it was there before, literally without the mainnet of Goliath? So again, if it was able to reach a billion before, without this much fundamentally going on when it comes to Onyx, what could it do later? If, let's say, the sentiment were to go back to that point, but then now there's more fundamentally going on when it comes to Onyx. If it maybe exceeded over a billion in terms of market cap, it wouldn't surprise me. But nonetheless, if it just goes back to a billion in terms of market cap, I'm not complaining either, just because it's so low. I mean, I am not telling anyone to do anything, but I'm pretty excited actually when it comes to the mainnet of Goliath in terms of the proposed launch on the 27th, just because, I've been looking forward to this for quite a while. And again, some people may be wondering, oh, didn't they already launch Goliath? Well, in terms of the testnet, yeah, but in terms of the mainnet, again, not yet, right? But they're planning it for the 27th. So yeah, I do find this to be pretty cool, but it's been a pretty quick update just because I was pretty excited seeing that announcement right there. So I wanted to talk about it because I've been looking forward to that for quite a while, and now they finally announced the actual date of it. So I do like that. However, I'll be sure to make more updates when it comes to Onyx, so hopefully I'll stay tuned for that. I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you all have a very nice day. It's Mali the Captain. I'm out. Peace. Bye.